Hi everyone, my name is Snezhana. My parents are conservative and they always believe that you can only make money doing hard work. I found a job on the internet that I enjoy. During the quarantine, everything did not go according to plan. My parents lost their jobs and we were short of money. I always had my own opinion on any topic, and my views on life and earnings were freer and more democratic. Our relationship was strained because of this. Parents didn't recognize alternative ways of earning money through the internet. They hoped that I would somehow outgrow my harmful beliefs, but I knew that this wouldn't happen. During the quarantine, I was sitting at home and surfing the internet as usual. This time, I was brought up to some article about easy money without investments and messages. Usually, I don't read that, but our position in the family became more disastrous and I decided to read. I was carried away. In the end, I was already burning with the desire to try. During the day, I studied online and I needed a part-time job that does not take long. It turned out to be simple. I needed confirmation that I was an adult. I sent my photo with a passport in hand. Then I registered, having previously agreed with the terms of the offer agreement, and got down to work. I had to continually change fake accounts as this allows you to earn more and not to be exposed. I turned on my creativity and began to exercise in coming up with various nicknames. I especially loved the feminine nicknames Graceful Acacia or Lush Doe. I was terrified to get caught by my parents, and I had to do it at night with the eternal fear that they would enter. My room didn't have a lock, as my parents considered it is reasonable to open my office. They called it an unscheduled audit for a subsidiary of the company. This is their humor. I always listened for a creak of the door somewhere. And when this happened, I quickly turned off the monitor and dived under the covers in whatever I was. This was terribly inconvenient since the employer recommended promptly responding to comments. I understood that I had to come up with something because you won't earn much in such a regime. I turned to my secret boyfriend. Why secret? Because my parents did not know about him. He was too progressive for them. He wore torn clothes, was covered in tattoos and deadlocks on his head, although he worked as a programmer. My mom would faint at the sight of him, and my dad would call the police for sure to check him on the base of theft or robbery. So I called him on FaceTime. I finally decided to tell my boyfriend about what I do. When I said that I had good news, he brightened, but when he found out what I was doing, he was immediately alarmed. He said that his good friend was doing this, but she was too carried away. When she decided to get a typical job, she didn't succeed since she had experience in the profession. Because of this, she fell into depression and to numb the pain became addicted to sweets. Then, since she ate a lot of sweets, she developed allergies, from which red bumps appeared on her face. The bumps itched terribly, and she combed them until they bleed. Some kind of infection got into the blood, her face was swollen, and she was in the hospital for a long time. She reconsidered all her views on life and decided to devote the rest of her life to serving God and became a nun. The monastery was in the mountains, and once a mud flow descended, the whole monastery was buried under a thick layer of mud. They still haven't found her. Do you want the same fate? He asked. No, of course, I didn't want to. But I was not allergic to sweets, and such a fate did not threaten me. After talking with my boyfriend, I told him that I would start looking for a regular job, but decided not to rush into it. By this time, I noticed that my parents became worried as they saw that I often didn't get enough sleep. I got off hook as best I could. Soon, I had a pile of work. I could hardly do anything. Over time, I began to notice how my computer started to behave strangely. The mouse twitched and ran away to the other end of the screen. Some programs were opened. I decided that I had caught a virus and reinstalled Windows. Still, after reinstalling, it became even worse. Messages from an unknown number began to come to my phone that I was doing something terrible. Soon, everyone would know what I was doing. At the same time, messages began to go from my employer that they were writing to him from unknown accounts and threatening him. And I signed a contract in which I had to follow specific safety standards. Because of this, he may have problems, and if he has issues, I will have questions. I was shocked by what was happening. Am I the victim of some kind of blackmailer hacker? Only my boyfriend knew about what I was doing, who was against my activities. Yes, he could do it. I told him about it directly and that I did not expect such a blow in the back. He denied and assured that there was a blockage at work and he simply had no time to do this. I didn't believe it, and in the end, we had a big fight. I was very nervous about all this, and I had a nervous breakdown right in front of my parents. They calmed me down, put me in order, and gave me water. Mom admitted that it was her and Dad who sent threatening messages to my employer and me. They noticed long ago that I stayed up late on the computer and were very worried about me. They decided to consult with their acquaintances. They told me that my generation can do something very illegal and indecent on the internet. Friends painted in paints what could happen to me, and my parents decided to act, but not as usual. And usually they just spoke head on and lectured me, but this time they decided to move more cunningly, asked their nephew, an IT specialist who lived nearby, to take care of me. While I was gone, he installed a tracking program and began to observe what I was doing. At first, they calmed down when they saw that I was not doing something indecent, but merely working as a secret comment writer. They liked being such hidden observers, and they decided to influence me by intimidating me with threats. When I reinstalled Windows, they began to write to me from fake accounts and then to my employer. I no longer had the strength to swear and sort things out, and I just told that I might have problems since I signed the contract. In the end, they went to meet me and explain the whole situation to my employer. The employer and I parted ways without any claims to each other. Due to the worries I had endured, I developed a persistent rejection to work on the internet. I just became afraid of it. After this incident, my parents began to respect the nephew of the IT specialist and became interested in the internet. They started their own blog where they shared their success in conquering the internet and become quite popular. They even began to send advertising offers. Thanks for watching. Love to all. Do what you like and subscribe to our channel. Hi, my name is Sari. I'm from Indonesia. I'd like to tell you the legendary story of my family about my great-great-grandfather, Superman, who worked as an assistant of Dutch Governor-General after the bloody Asa War. Plague caused by poor hygiene after the war spread very fast across the country, and quarantine was the only measure that could stop the disease. All seaports were closed, food was not supplied, and people did everything they could to survive. Fields and plantations were abandoned because the demand for plant products collapsed. The Governor-General loved high-quality coffee and was in distress because his favorite drink was no longer imported. So he asked my great-great-grandfather to find at least a few good coffee beans. My ancestor didn't have much choice, so he started looking for coffee beans everywhere. But he failed. Some coffee beans were unripe, others were damaged by worms. Finally, in desperation, he decided to visit just one more half-abandoned coffee plantation and found whole coffee beans lying on the ground and stuck together in the form of a sausage. As this was the only option he had, my great-great-grandfather made up his mind to try his luck and made a coffee for the Governor-General using the coffee beans he had found. The Governor-General was shocked. He had never drunk such delicious coffee before. He ordered to find more coffee beans of his kind. My great-great-grandfather went to that plantation again and saw how the seeds were produced. A local civet cat, also known as musang or luwak, ate the berries of a coffee plant and pooped out the undigested coffee beans. Superman told honestly about it to the Governor-General. He got furious at first, but then he changed his mind and asked if the seeds were washed before making the coffee for him. Superman assured him that the beans had been thoroughly cleaned. The Governor-General felt relieved. This unusual coffee soon became very popular among other Dutch commanders. When the quarantine was cancelled, my great-great-grandfather became the first producer and supplier of civet coffee, or kopi luwak as we know it now. He became rich and famous very quickly. However, his happiness was short-lived. One of his deputies, Susilo Bang Bang Widodo, set up my ancestor who lost all his money and reputation. Soon after that, Susilo became the largest producer of kopi luwak in the region. Since then, my family struggled to make both ends meet. When I was a little girl, our life was hard, but gradually we were able to improve our financial situation. However, it became tough again during the pandemic. Supplies of food to our island were stopped, and citizens had to survive on the internal market products, which could barely meet the demands of us all. At this challenging time, I recalled the story of my ancestor, and I had a genius idea. I decided to create a new type of coffee like my great-great-grandfather did. We had a few cows, so I began feeding them with coffee beans and expected to get a new sort of coffee, of kopi luwak type. However, cows refused to eat the seeds. I tried to make them and added the beans to all kinds of feeding stuff, mixing them in various proportions and adding different ingredients. Sometime later, I got lucky. I found the ideal mix. Cows liked it, and I expected to reap the benefits of my success. Cows become very active and playful. They jumped in the meadow as if they were young calves, and then even broke the fence of the pen and visited bulls. At first, the beasts seemed happy about the attention, but an hour later, they started making attempts to leave the pen and jump over the fence. When the coffee beans effect passed, the cows got really hungry and ate all the food I provided to them in no time. I still expected to get the results, but I failed again. All the coffee beans were well digested by the stomachs of my cows. I was upset. It took me so much effort to find the right proportion of all the ingredients. However, I thought that giving up so quickly would be silly, so I was going to continue thinking about how to help my family stay afloat. In the evening, my father told me that the milk yield almost doubled that day, and I realized that I had finally found it. The cows had a better appetite because of the coffee beans, and they produced more milk. I had to find an optimal proportion of the ingredients to keep the yield and avoid the coffee stimulating effect. And I did it. It was a success. This is how my little business originated. I began packing my feed and selling it to farmers. They noticed results very quickly, and soon I had a waiting list of people who wanted to buy my product. It was time to expand my business. I needed a loan to do that. At that very moment, the news about my magical feed reached the Ministry of Agriculture. I was invited there to discuss the terms of financing. The meeting went well. They promised to help me both with funds and documents. When I returned home, the entire room which I used for research looked like a mess. Someone had tried to find the secret of my supplement. I was lucky because I had taken all the calculations and notes with me to the ministry. But I wanted to find out who knew where I did my research. I asked my father about it, and he told me that the most curious man was our neighbor that lived to the south from our place. I decided to watch this neighbor. I was sure that he had something to do with it. I came up to his house, chose the right place for viewing, and started waiting. The sun sunk below the horizon, and soon it was dark. Only dim light from a street lamp illuminated the area. In a couple of hours, I heard the sound of a car approaching the house. The car stopped, and 3 men, 2 tall ones and 1 short one, stepped out. They moved to the front door. The short man was carrying a few folders, and one of them had a logo of Bang Bang Incorporated on it. I knew this logo very well because this company had bankrupted my great-great-grandfather. I decided that I would fight for my product and my business, but at that time I had no idea that those men were capable of. A couple of days later, a few videos appeared on TV according to which cows were dying. The first video was about my neighbor who I suspected of betraying me. He said that his cows had been killed after he fed them with my supplement. Several independent organizations which help the agricultural sector of our country conducted an independent study and reported that it was my supplement that had killed the cows. According to the findings of their research, my supplement allegedly caused overexertion of cows' udders and contributed to cancer development. This could be the end of my business. I did everything to tell the truth to people. I showed the cows that belonged to my family, who were absolutely healthy. Still, my efforts didn't bring out the desired result, and when it was reported that people had died because they drank milk from cows fed with my supplement, I decided it was time to stop them. I took a folder with my research materials and went to the head office of Bang Bang Incorporated. When I entered the office and told the secretary who I was, she immediately walked me to the director's room, I came in and saw that short man that I had previously seen in my neighbor's yard. He was bold and very unpleasant, but he was happy to see me. I could say that by his smile and the fact that he was rubbing his hands. I looked at him and thought to myself, how could the ancestor of this man make my family starve? I'm listening to you, young lady, the man said and gave me a disgusting smile. I'll say it as it is. Here, in this folder, I have everything that you've been looking for. I'm ready to sell it to you for 2 billion rupees. When the hype created by you ends, you will be able to start producing my supplement under your own brand and earn a lot of money. I think it is a good proposal. He was silent for a few minutes and then said, You are smart, but I'll pay only 500 million rupees to you, not more. If you don't agree, I'll make you guilty for people's deaths and you will go to jail. I had to agree. When the deal was over, I returned home and tried to convince my family to leave the country. I showed them the money and said that we could start a new business in any other country. I really hope that they will agree with me and we will leave. I don't have much time actually. I have intentionally made a mistake in the recipe of my supplements I've sold, and soon they will find out about it. I have to hurry. I'm not sure if I have done the right thing, and I don't know what will happen next. Thank you for your attention, and I hope to see you soon. Please Please click the like button and subscribe to our channel.